Hello everybody and welcome to this campaign Let's Play for the Kingdom of Bretonnia. Bretonnia will be available to everyone who owns Total War Warhammer on February 28th and comes with 3 new starting positions and playable legendary lords. You join me in the early stages of my campaign as Bretonnia who start with the city of Cologne. So far I've managed to form up a strong network of alliances with the other dukedoms while largely taking on a defensive role, fighting various invasions from the Beastmen, the Greenskins and the Dwarves in my immediate area, who are now but a memory. And here's the man of the hour, my faction leader King Luan Leoncoeur, whose faction effect is Royal Blood, granting increased movement range for characters, aura size for lords, and has all of the knightly vows from the beginning. As you can see, we've got a nice set of military allies and trade partners whom I rely heavily on for income. Between Lyonesse, Bastogne, Artois, Bordelot and Carcassonne, I'm pulling in well over 1,000 gold per turn from trade alone, so they're a huge asset for me. Now taking a look at the campaign overview, you can see that we've rid the Greenskins and Dwarfs from their mountains, and switching to a diplomatic view, we can see our relationships with the other Bretonnians, which is pretty good. Some of these territories I've acquired through peaceful colonization, mind you. Alberic of Bordelot is particularly happy with me for removing Mousillon to his north, and the Fey Enchantress of Carcassonne is already starting to forget how I helped her with the Beastmen a few turns ago, so we might have to keep an eye on her. Over at Marienburg, King Luan is replenishing after we colonized some Empire territories to the south and recruiting his brand new questing knights. Let's take a look at his skill tree. Now he's got a lot of unique skills, but in the interest of time I'll just mention a few of the skills I've acquired so far. I've got the Crown of Bretonnia, granting a leadership buff to the entire army. The Lady's Champion, a nice replenishment augment. The Army of the King, which buffs replenishment on the campaign. Beloved Son of Bretonnia, a constant battle augment around him, and Lion's Shield, which increases the cooldown for a magic and missile resistance buff. Looking at his details page, we can see what he's been through. Traits for Bretonnia have a bit more depth to them than they do for the other races, allowing you to see where and why you received it. The Puissant Virtue is a King Luan specific one, but we can see that he is a confident attacker gained by winning many offensive battles. He is however a procrastinator, because he was sat idle in Cologne for a long time playing the diplomacy game. When push came to shove though, he earned Beast Scourge by killing the leader of the Beastman Kazarek One-Eye in a glorious battle outside of Carcassonne. He's also a devoted man, spending a lot of time in cities with chapels. And as you can see, you can really build up the story of your lords and ladies this way and shape the character they become through their actions. Playing aggressively with a character will see them become more aggressive and have traits that play into that. Now we weren't just getting questing knights for the fun of it, we're amidst the Sword of Cologne quest, so let's see what we need to do next for it. Right, we need to deploy our paladin in the forests of Ardennes to figure out what's causing this evil fog the populace are reporting. Okay, so it's just outside Castle Artois, so let's grab Malabod Letard and send him on his way. It'll take him a couple turns to get there though. Speaking of Artois, I'm currently researching a technology that will allow me to confederate with them. You can see on the left of the text screen that we have different decrees, and on the right we have more practical economic effects. The economic ones generally push you in the direction of increased growth and income from farms, industry and trade, however it's up to you if you want to pay some sleazy bribes in order to get increases from trade. Construction is a costly initiative, but it does pay dividends in the long run for sure, so it might be worth focusing there early if you can. Not sure about you, but I'm all about bigger bobbins and improved looms. Over on the Chivalric Code side we have statewide decrees. These are essentially large military buffs that allow you to focus on one race at the cost of breaking relations with the race permanently. I currently have enacted the Winter Woes Decree, whereby the King has decreed we must double our efforts against the barbaric foes in the north. This will allow us to be immune to snow attrition when we set foot in Norska, and give us nice experience gain from fighting them. I have a young and upcoming lord, Jean Clement Paquette, looking to prove himself, who is currently on his way to take some Norscan tribes. Pack Ice Bay looks pretty undefended and suitable for a hit and run, so let's move there. Paquette is only level 5, so cannot yet recruit the best knights, so hopefully he can return victorious so that we can give him greater command. The only other thing I wanted to take care of before we end the turn is an imminent incursion at Mousillon. Luckily peasants don't really have the will to revolt, however vampires don't rest easy, and if we lose control of this settlement, they'll be back to take it for themselves. Likewise in Bretonnian cities, Greenskins will invade should our control slip too low. Jacques Grailhunter, also known as the coolest name ever, should be able to suppress them and fix the control issue there for the time being. Alright, so we can end the turn now. I feel like we need to be putting Jack Grail Hunter to better use in future though.
Not one step further, stranger. You do not walk my lands without my blessing, which you don't have.
Looks like Scaling are getting a little bit scared that I'm close to their towns. Gonna have to give you a big fat no on that one. Okay, so let's move our paladin into the forest of Ardennes to complete our quest there.
Paladin of Bretonnia. Onwards then.
He needs to be deployed, of course, to take effect. King Lewin's questing knights have completed, so let's push him over to Artois, as we're fairly likely to have our quest battle fought there.
King of Bretonnia.
We're a bit short on archers though, so let's get 2 of the new types of archers, Peasant Bowmen with fire and Peasant Bowmen with pox arrows. Fire arrows obviously do fire damage, and pox arrows do cause a poison debuff effect, so combining them together you really get that 1-2 punch of hitting hard and weakening the enemy.
I will see it done.
Now we want to move back over to Paquette to take Pack Ice Bay.
Armored in faith. To victory!
Alright, so this obviously will be an easy win, so let's just auto-resolve this. Nice, we've picked up some money and unique armor too. And we've gained a new rank. Now this is where it gets interesting. Chivalry is a very important mechanic for Bretonnia. Your actions on the campaign, such as raiding, sacking, fighting other Bretonians, are considered unjust and unchivalrous, whereas raising, fighting alongside allies, and more are considered just and chivalrous. So we'll be nice today and raise the settlement to remove this evil from the wider world. Oh cool, this particular battle gave us the Blessing of the Lady, which is a random chance depending on the severity of victory you get. A heroic victory, for instance, always grants the blessing. This gives us an army-wide ward save buff until we lose or retreat from a battle. She doesn't bless cowards after all. It seems even though we are immune to snow attrition, we're not immune to chaos attrition, which means we might want to get a decree for that next time we visit Norska. Now back to chivalry. You'll notice on top of the UI that we've now progressed to the next milestone for chivalry. We are now honourable, allowing us to call upon the Green Knight and giving us a leadership and unit experience buffs. As you progress to knightly, virtuous and chivalrous, you start to gain bigger and more substantial buffs and get another opportunity to call in the Green Knight each time. Ultimately, the victory conditions for Bretonnia are to become chivalrous by reaching 1000 chivalry, and then to complete the Errantry War. We'll be able to advance the Errantry War at 400 chivalry, but for now we don't have to worry about it. As we've reached a new rank with Paquette, that means that we can now unlock new vows for him. The questing vow allows us to recruit questing knights into our army. Technically we could do it before, but the upkeep will be impossible to sustain. If we get Paquette to rank 10, we can then get the Grail vow, allowing him complete access to all knights available. Now this means, heavens forbid we lose Paquette, his knights will need to disband unless we can find another lord or lady who has these vows. If we quickly check the building browser at Marienburg, we can see what units are attached to what vow. Even the first vow needs to be unlocked after rank 2, so a fresh recruit lord has not proven himself worthy of commanding even the most basic knights. This means it really is a big investment to get these units and to maintain them. Alright, let's prepare for the quest and end the turn. Okay, so we've completed our technology research, which will allow us to confederate with Artois and give us a big diplomatic boon with them. Our quest is successful, and now we'll need to fight and retrieve the Sword of Couronne, which will give us campaign and battle buffs, so it's definitely worth chasing. Uh-oh, our peasant economy is suffering slightly. When recruiting those bowmen last turn, I went over the limit of sustainability for our settlements. We're literally drafting peasants into the armies by taking them off the farms at home, causing our farms to be less productive. You can see we're causing a minus 4% income from farming now as we've gone over the limit by just 1. To find out what units are peasants, you can check for the icon displayed in their unit card. Almost all foot soldier units are peasants, and almost all cavalry are knights, bar some exceptions. The problem is, to get knights we need high tier buildings and lords, so a balancing act needs to be struck between managing your economy and military, as they directly affect one another now. To alleviate this somewhat, you can focus more on industry rather than farming. I've begun building a weaving house in Helmgart, but to upgrade to a clothier, I need a cellar in the same region. If I was to get fields instead, we'd have access to new units and we'd get more money initially, but we'd be affected by the peasant economy still. So a cellar it is. At least with industry, even if I don't make as much money from it, it's predictable and stable. Okay, moving back to the quest at hand, let's prepare for the battle, but not before confederating with Artois. So we've got the required tech, and we're not military allies, so they should want to do this.
Welcome, friends. Let's hope we
Moderate
can
chance.
come to an accommodation.
Let's give them a nice gift of, say, 4,000 to persuade Chilfroy to part with his dukedom. Still moderate. Nice. Artois are now part of my Bretonnia. The province is now secured and we can enact a commandment later. We've also obtained Fée Dubois, a prophetess with the lore of life and the Knight's Vow, a nice way of quickly climbing that progression ladder. We've taken on a lot of peasants though, plunging us into a minus 38% income from farming. We'll have to disband some peasants, but we'll just leave it for now. Let's pop her back into town and get King Lewin ready for battle.
You seek the lady's favor.
Now if we check the enemy forces here, we can see it's not looking too favourable for our current army. We can put our nearby damsel into his army though, to give us some magical power in battle.
Damsel.
Although I still think we're missing that extra punch we need. Let's call on the Green Knight. Awesome. Alright, so the Green Knight will stick with us for 15 turns to help us out, but we won't get to call on him again until we reach our next chivalry milestone. This means that you only get him 4 times in your campaign, so use him wisely. Now I'm just out of reach of this battle, so for the sake of the video, let's just teleport there and fight it out. Odds are looking pretty even now, maybe in favour of them, but we're just about out of time. So stay tuned and subscribe to our channel to catch the battle for the Sword of Couronne. And as always, thanks for watching and follow us on social media for more.